Hello and welcome. You're tuned to the Leg Up, your weekly thoroughbred preview podcast, and the boys are back in town. Good to have you back. Paul Mawadi, Stephen Hunt in the office. Paul, rarefied air for you back in the office. Thanks for the pleasure of your company.
Yeah, I know it may seem that I'm not here that very often, but if people saw what went on behind the scenes, they'd realise that I'm the only one who's actually
like a
here.
duck, isn't it, with what's happening under the water?
Big time.
Yeah, okay. And what was last week? Golf? You played golf last week?
It was golf, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, live in.
Live in. Any plans for this afternoon?
Bit of golf.
Right, okay. We're getting a pattern. Good to see you back anyway.
Well, it's Masters weekend, so...
True, very good. Yeah, we can have a chat about that at some... Tiger in the mix, isn't he?
Oh, boy. Certainly for the punters he is.
Yeah, I tell you what, for 40, 50 to 1, it's some sort of liability, isn't there, on Tiger?
If Tiger does actually get up and win the Masters this year, we will be paying out to the New Zealand punters more money than Hideki Matsuyama received for winning the Masters last. So.
Don't mind that stat. Yeah, don't mind that stat. Very good. Steve, good morning to you. You were back on deck, feeling strong and fit.
Yep, 100% back into it. Yep.
That's the story. And Awapuni last week, we saw size win from Maven Bell, didn't we?
Yeah, look, she was fantastic. I thought tactically Sam Weatherly was a gem of a ride, 11 out of 10 ride for Sam. Tactically a front-running ride from him. Look, not many speed maps, if any, had Maven Bell leading. But he wasn't intimidated in holding that position after the filly jumped extremely well. And I think that first 200 metres in the race was crucial to the end result. If she took a trail, I'm not sure she wins that race. But they went into the room, Wolverine, and the connections there, put up a challenge or a protest. It was dismissed, which I think was a fair result considering the margin, etc. So she has to be a leading contender now for Juvenile of the Year, Maven Bell, who only defeat was an unlucky third in the Sistema.
Yeah, that's right. He was unlucky that day. Ryan Elliott aboard that day. One constant we do have, and we thank him for this, is Brendan Popperwell from our Hamilton studio. Morning, BP. Oh, North, love it, love it.
Yeah, thank you, Thad. Good morning, fellas. And I know one of your particular members on the panel there was a big North Sydney Bears fan, so this is one for you. Look, what a weekend it was last weekend, because there was a lot of good racing out of Awapuni, wasn't it? It wasn't just about the feature race, it was about the whole day itself. We were excited about the race meeting, and I think we got what we were looking for out of that day, the first day of the championships across the Tasman too. And we're just in a little holding pattern before we really get into the strong autumn racing. Some horses to look out for over the weekend's racing, both north and south. And then we build into that final Group 1, which will be next Saturday, the Easter race meeting at Pukekohe, and then, of course, the Cambridge Jockey Club race meeting coming up. So still some very important race days coming up over the next few weeks. Yeah, absolutely, BP. Look, I know we're a domestic show primarily, but what about that Queen Elizabeth on Saturday? Hopefully, if we've got a few minutes in the end, we can touch on it in depth, or some more depth. But, gee, what a lineup that is. It's exceptional, isn't it? And it's been building towards this, and we're going to see a clash between a number of horses, and the rain again is playing its part, because they just can't turn the tap off, can they, in terms of the weather? So how much of a bearing does that have on your overall selection around the race? Is it Jewess? Is it Very Elegant? Is it too wet for Zaki? All those are put into the melting pot for what is going to be a great race tomorrow. Yeah, 100%. Well, we'll stick with you, BP. Where are you there? We want your maiden of the week. Where have you landed this week? Look, I've gone to the River City, actually. Found a race there yesterday where I was liking the victory of Podium. This is a horse with Guy Lowry and Grant Cullen, and you'll see the horse presented in the Waikato stud colours. I like the race. Look, there was a lot of support for the Wayne Marshman horse, and I'm sure the alarm bells were ringing when you start getting support for a Wayne Marshman horse trained on his local track. So you've always got to be aware of that. Look, that horse missed a start in My Zoe, and look, it's still done a very good job to be finishing into around about that 4th or 5th position. But Podium, the daughter of Ocean Park, was able to get the job done, brought some good trial form leading into the race, and look, stretched away by a good margin of 2 3/4 lengths. Just feel as though she's a horse to follow, yes, out of the race, and maybe a couple of others away from that are in behind her. So yeah, I was happy to mark that down as our maiden of the week. Yeah, okay, Steve. Podium, impressive on the eye, good one.
You haven't broken down the times, but as a whole, the overall time ran a quicker time than the rating 65 on the same day, so that's a nice little lead before crunching the numbers. But yeah, 3-year-old filly this time of the year, it's always hard to place. Maybe a Cambridge Breeders against the boys at Te Rapa on the 30th of April. Could be a race if they want to chase some black type. And they're only 3 once, so Yeah, not sure how much scope it's got in terms of getting over a trip as a 3-year-old, but maybe 1,200 metres next start against Black Type Company at Te Rapa could be an immediate goal, but I'll let the connections sort that one out. But a progressive filly, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, team, we're going to spread it around a bit this week. We've got 4 races we want to cover, a couple from ROTORUA, 1 from RICCARTON, 1 from Aupuni this afternoon, so we can touch on that a little bit later, but we'll start with ROTORUA, Steve. Race number 1 on the card is the TW Moore 3-year-old, for the 3-year-olds obviously, over the 1,400 metres.
Yeah, dominant favourite here, Thaddeus Labella Beals, who was super impressive last start at Tauranga. Trading in the red, 1.9. That's where her price opened up at on Wednesday afternoon. In front of Ziegfeld at $4.50. Rekindled Express at $5.50, just out of turn. Stars and Cream, $7.50 since the opening call. Double figures around Billy Bunn to the Maidner at 16. Canadian Girl, just back in trip, 21, just on a turn or two to 18. Usura 21 with Louisiana Man. An explosive miss. The Ranky at $26, definitely not friendless. So, look, there's a bit of specking around Canadian Girl at a price, 21 to 18. But look, overall, the race just stifled of trading or betting thus far. But Labella Beals $1.95.
Yeah, okay, very impressive. Obviously, BP resuming Labella Beals, put them away easily. What sort of track do you think we're going to be striking there at Rotorua come Saturday afternoon before you touch on the favourite?
Yes, well, we'll be working with a soft 5 currently, and of course we are now aligned with the Australians now in terms of our track ratings. So a soft 5 would effectively be the old dead 5 if you are trying to work on particular ratings there on track conditions. So classic sort of autumn track really, isn't it? Just with that little bit of moisture in the ground, very dewy mornings, but certainly on this side, in the Waikato, we've had very good days, good warmth through the afternoons, despite being a little bit chilly in the morning. So if that can hold up around that in terms of weather-wise, we're going to have a nice track condition for all horses to be suited. Yeah, this first race where Labella Beals is a horse who I thought the first up run was terrific, and that was off the back of some really nice trials, go-for trials, quiet trials. They were both there to see around Labella Beals. A runner who was able to just plant herself where she wanted to be, and she was really too good for her key opponent in Ziegfeld, who was, again, that key rival here on Saturday. Barrier draw means that they can use her barrier speed once again. 1,400 metres, from 1,200 metres to 1,400 metres is not going to be an issue for her. And look, she has been stakes placed over that distance too, and behind Dark Destroyer in a Bone Crusher. So she's got a lot about her, and she just seems to be a really nice progressive 3-year-old filly, and looks awfully hard to hold out, and hence why you have to chase $1.90.
Yeah, look, pretty short, Paul, but probably pretty short for a reason after that resuming run.
It certainly, yeah, it was very, very impressive. So I can fully understand the odds on opening quote there at $1.90. Wouldn't be surprised to see her close a wee bit shorter either. Have a look a wee bit further down the page.
Yeah, good.
Stars and Cream. I think it was someone's bet of the week a few weeks ago.
Didn't disgrace itself.
No, it didn't disgrace it. Oh, maybe just didn't quite get the track. I'm not sure.
I think it just got beaten by a very smart horse who hasn't really smashed it.
St. Bathans.
Oh, yes, sorry.
We'll see St. Bathans go later on today at Aupuni, but yeah, again, he didn't smash the clock, St. Bathans, but he's just got something about him, a nice presence about him, and I think they're heading towards Queensland, all going well. But no total knock in Stars and Cream. I just have a bit of a query, Paul, where do you see him in the map? Because there's a lot of speed in this race. I think Labella Beals will hold a spot from barrier 1, possibly lead, as she did at Tauranga. You've got Stars and Cream, which we will talk on, has that gate speed, will look to be in the first 2 or 3. Louisiana Man has gate speed, and so does Usura, an explosive miss. So a bit of toe in the first furlong or 2.
Yeah, so pretty good price on the eye, though, Stars and Cream, after that last, was it pretty short last time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was around, even money, just, 220, 230, something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, they're definitely trading the red at some stage, Stars and Cream, and eased a little bit, but yeah, I'd be against her in this particular race this time around.
Okay, what are you thinking here then, Steve? I mean, rekindled interest in play. Ziegfeld obviously got beat by Labella Beals last time. What was the thought pattern here amongst the pricing team?
There was a little bit of a disparity around Labella Beals. I personally rated her a 48% chance, so just above even money, $1.90. I don't think she'll start too shorter than the current quote at 1.9. I think there'll be a little bit of interest around horses around her. Just going back to the last start win at Tauranga, on the eye, you look at it, and there was 2 or 3 horses that vied for that leading position. You would have swore they would have gone above even tempo, but as it turned out, the first 600, They went 37.16, which is 4.6 lengths below par. So it really did suit for horses on speed, which were La Bella BEALS found herself in that position. So they came home last 638 and change, 1.1 lengths above par on a slow deck, take note. But I think it made it very hard for the likes of Ziegfeld, who found itself off the bit a long way from home. Look, she's got record over a shorter trip, but first up, over 1,200, she was off the bit, as I mentioned, for a long, long way from about the 800 onwards. She did record the fastest last 600 in that race and equal last 200 with La Bella BEALS. So some similarity in the closing splits. But look, you go back to Ziegfeld last preparation, bet the likes of Mullystone and Mustang Valley, which isn't bad form reference as we speak about those two horses and what they've done since.
So if the speed is on, as you're suggesting, that could set up for a Ziegfeld potentially. Yeah,
potentially. I don't know. Maybe over the 1,400 metres we might not see that pressure, which we did last start. There might be a few horses here knowing that the favourite might try and hold a spot and probably has more cards to play from the barrier 1, and they might not take that horse on. Maybe they look to take a little bit of a sit and turn off the pressure after the first 400 metres.
BP, look, obviously La Bella BEALS, but is there anything down the page here? I see we've got money here for Canadian Girl, we've got money for Louisiana Man, even Yashura is taking a little bit at $21. So just anything down the page that we need to have an eye on?
I would be keeping Billy Bunter safe at $16. Now, he bounces out of the Victoria Rock Maiden race, and he does have to take on horses that have won races. So, look, he's not ideally suited under the conditions of the race. I mean, he's only giving 1.5 kilos to a horse who's won 3 races. So he is not well placed under those conditions. But he's just a horse that, if the track condition can stay where it is, he's a chance for trifectas and first fours. Your Canadian Girl, look, coming back from the 2,000 metres, I thought she was a horse who was tracking nicely. They decided to have a go because, I mean, she's a 3-year-old filly. You might as well find out and have a shot at the Alice Classic and see from there if you are progressing on towards an Oaks. She finished into 7th position. She was beaten 17 lengths. Decided to freshen up and bring her back to a shorter trip. I think with Stars and Cream, I think the key with her in this race is maybe to ride her off pressure. Now, 1,400 metres, the way that she won 2 starts ago, that's how the race happened for her, and she won, and she was strong through the line. Yes, she won that very first race where she went so strong up front over 1,200 metres and blew them away by a very big margin and beat home 3 other rivals who were a couple of them off the bit a long way from home. So they tried to replicate that by putting her up on speed over 1,400 metres last time out, and they were beaten to finish into 2nd position by a nice horse. So I just wonder if they look to take that pair or two away from speed and try and let her finish over the top like she did a couple of starts ago. So that could play into the hands of the Bella BEALS if that is the case, because of her ability to jump and find that position. And Ziegfeld really could get that nice sweet spot just off the favourite in 2nd position with that barrier draw of 2. Rekindled Express is drawn nicely in barrier number 3 as a horse who can sort of naturally put himself there also. So there the speed may evaporate very quickly from this race after the first couple of 100 metres of horses find their positions, and Stars and Cream doesn't look to find that forward position. So I just keep coming back to La Bella BEALS. First use of the track could be like Tauranga. I mean, that was a good spot to be at Tauranga on that day. You needed to be up against the rail in front. She could be in that position and be very hard to beat in the first race around ROTORUA.
Yeah. Is it too early to start calling Stars and Cream an enigma? I'm starting to feel like it's a little bit in and out. I can't catch it. Is that too soon, Paul? Or do you just take it when it's a big price and hope for the best?
I certainly think it represents a wee bit of value at the $7.50 at the moment, and if we were to see a little drift, then we'd certainly tweak my interest. I'm looking to a wee bit further down the page, though.
I like it when you do this. Yeah.
I'm going to have another little go at Canadian Girl. I thought that was a tough win when she was pretty much wide the whole way at Te Rapa. She was less than a length away from Miss Ella the start before that. I think the 7 or 8 furlongs, she's better suited at this stage of her career. So at it was 21 now into $18.
Okay. You're going to have that in your mix?
It will be in the mix.
Any nervous about that Canadian Girl money, Steve? Because it's a little bit early.
Oh, look, I've got a big query going back in trip. Look, she may be suited over 1,600 in time. Whether she got 2,000 metres is a question mark, and maybe the trainers and the connections are just sorting out what her sweet spot is. They backed off her after failing over 2,000 metres, so maybe her sweet spot is 14-16, but I just want to see her back in trip. Her win at Te Rapa didn't rate highly. I know the form around it has been okay, but just on numbers was just fair. She probably needs to find a couple of lengths at least v La Bella BEALS. There is one horse here I just want to mention, BP, is and Thaddeus, is Rekindled Express.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it yet.
Had a soft spot for this horse ever since it won its debut at Rotorua on this track, and it ran well on the clock, 3.3 lengths above standard for maiden class. Got turned out, came back and ran a nice second at Matamata in behind Isla J, who I've got a bit of time for as well. And that was in rating 65 company, and that 65 rating race again ran above par, and Rekindled Express finished second. So look, last start, right-handed. That was a little bit soft in the market, what you won't see in paper, I think from about $5 to $7.58 from memory, Rekindled Express. So it was a little bit soft in the market and ran accordingly. Naturally, I was still a little bit disappointed, even though it was soft in the marketplace. But the final assessment, again, probably needs to find 1.5, 2 lengths, v La Bella BEALS, personal best. But I think maybe the key around this horse and what I've assessed, Rekindled Express, is left-handed v right-handed. Just hasn't gone right-handed thus far, and back left-handed could be the key.
Okay. Paul, if I gave you $100 to bet into this race, how would you do it?
I'd definitely take La Bella BEALS for the win.
Yep.
And then I'd have a Canadian Gill for a top 4 finish.
Okay, like it. BP, how would you attack the first?
Yeah, similar thinking really with La Bella BEALS. There was one other horse I forgot to mention in terms of the speed, and it could be the horse right at the bottom, an Explosive Miss, just with no weight, and how the horse won its maiden race last time to the races by just roaring to the front. I know it won and paid sort of $70, but just might be that little fly in the ointment towards the race pattern as well. So just be wary of that runner at the bottom of the book. But La Bella BEALS, happy to just run with that as a win bet in the first race.
Okay. Is it Taylor Mitchell aboard, boys?
Yes.
Yeah, she's done that. She's done that before, hasn't she? Let him up, so she could do the same thing again on this one with the 4 kg claim. Okay, guys, we'll go to race number 6 on the card. And it is, let me get the name right here, the Laser Electrical 1400 for the open handicappers, Steve. Run us through this market.
So we posted Osaka and Sheriff 350 each of 2. There is a little bit of separation there, but don't take a huge note, punters. Osaka 350 holds that price since the opening call. Sheriff just out a turn fractionally, 3.5 to 3.6. Red Hussar $8 third line. Thunder $8.50. Stand Tall first up for Ralph Manning and Ashwin Gudansamy at $9. Double figures around Manrico, bouncing between 10 and 11. La Sabalier first up for Karen Thurston at 16. She has the same quote as New York Jazz and also Tannehill. Big Mike bouncing between 18 and 21. Has to carry big weight even though it does have a 3 kg claim. On the Rocks, $21. El Coolio, the Ranky at 31. So no lead here. Osaka Sheriff held the call for the majority of the first 24 hours, but you just see a slight separation, 350 v 360.
Yeah, okay. Before we go to BP, Steve, not a lot of money probably in the race in general at this stage, but for Osaka, would we be expected to see more for Osaka if he was ready to rock and roll first up?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Considering you look at its very impressive first up record, almost impeccable, 3 wins first up after a 90-day spell.
Yeah.
And a light career to date. I think it's had, 5 or 6 wins to its name. So overall, a very, very impressive strike rate in terms of the winning bracket. Osaka, he's back from Australia. He's had 2 trials leading in. That's around about the recipe he's had leading into previous campaigns. But I marked him significantly longer at $3.50. I would have wanted to play this market where you almost dangle the carrot and firm him rather than hold the baby and then drift accordingly on race day. So 350 is a little bit skinny, and that's showing in the marketplace considering we've seen basically no sense on him.
Yeah, interesting, Pops. I mean, know the quality of the horse Osaka, and he's got that good record. How do you sort of see this race from a betting perspective? Is there an opportunity if potentially if Osaka is a little bit cold in this market?
Look, maybe. Overall, I found this race a very, very tough race to try and work out. I don't know. There's a few horses here that are out of form. There's a couple of horses here that are fresh up into the race. One horse has found himself at the top of the market who was very good in Sheriff, who prior to that hadn't won for nearly 2 years. So it's just a really tricky race, isn't it? And I really didn't know what to do with the race, to be honest with you. Osaka is a runner, as Stephen said, has got the fresh up record and look, has to be a contender on what the horse has shown us in the past, and in the state. So that puts Osaka in the right spot to say that he's a contender in the race. Probably hoping for a little bit of a shift in the marketplace to work around that $3.23 mark to give you that confidence that maybe he is ready to go. So I almost keep defaulting back to Sheriff with how the horse won last time out. He was a very good winner. He's going to, look, it was just nice to see him back in that vein of form. I mean, we all know his past form. I mean, he was a horse who was, placed over 2,000, 2,400 metres, Waikato Cups, all those type of good races that we saw from him as a 3 and 4-year-old. And maybe a glimmer of his best once again. I thought Red Hussar out of that same race is one of those ones near the bottom of the book, and Thunder, those type of runners who are, again, a little bit hard to work out. Red Hussar would be that other horse I'm trying to find the each way. But what about Manrico? Manrico almost falls into the same category as Sheriff. It's been a long time since we've seen Manrico winning, but does get 4 kilos off with Ace Lawson Carroll, down to 51 kilos. Beat a very good field of open handicappers, the likes of Summer Passage. A little bit of dig in the ground, possibly looking for more rain to fall, but maybe Manrico's finally worked it all out and wants to win again. So, yeah, tough race, banana skin race, really.
Well, yeah, if you're talking about Manrico, probably sums up the race to some degree, that there are plenty of chances if we're not back in Osaka.
That's right. Well, that probably means On the Rocks is going to win because it's been a little time since On the Rocks has won a race as well. So, tough race.
Paul, talk us through it. Give us some pearls here. We need them by the sound of it.
Well, BP's been through like half the field already, and we still haven't settled on a winner. And I just think that goes to show just how tough it is to pick one out. But Osaka was fair and flying before the trip across the Tasman, and that didn't pan out as Connections would have hoped. But anything like that sort of form, and you've just got to have Osaka in there. So I'm happy to go with the 350 at the moment. I don't want the look of Les Sablier. I know, fresh up, but a couple of kilos off with Madu in the saddle, and was putting some nice races together last campaign. So, yeah, Les Sablier at 16s.
Yeah, okay. First up, Les Sablier is placed at the track, I see. Steve, wide open if there's no money for Osaka here. I mean, Stand Tall a chance. Thunder's consistent. Tannehill, we don't know quite what we're going to get, but, Big Mike on the rocks. Help us. Help us.
It's a tough one. Tough one, Thaddeus.
You were pretty keen on Sheriff last time, though.
Yeah, I was keen. I was a bit gutted they didn't back up, even though it was on that testing track conditions. They've opted for the horse. Have a slight freshen up, just 3 weeks between runs, and back on a better surface at Rotorua. Now trained at the beach. The Murdochs took over the training around about a year ago off Roger James and Robert Wellwood, who did a stellar job for a horse that been a little bit of in and out in terms of issues. I think it's had a couple of back issues, Sheriff, and obviously the chiropractor's been full-time around the individual for the last couple of years. But look, I was very taken on its run, just forgetting that its history and just going on pure that one run at Tauranga when it was so impressive, carrying a big weight. Andrew Calder had to be a top ride that day. Used a decent gate, trailed, found that slipstream out early in the straight and gradually got to Celebra in the last 100 metres. So it was a well-timed and judged ride from Andrew Calder, and doesn't have to carry a big weight here. Drops to 56.5, so is well placed in terms of weights and measures via a few of his opposition at Tauranga, who finished him behind him, Sheriff. And it's like BP mentioned, that word default. It's almost the default selection, Sheriff. Obviously, I rated him clear top selection in terms of the marketplace. Osaka, I rated, as I mentioned earlier, a little bit higher around that 650 mark, and Sheriff I rated around about a 26% chance, so 380. So there's no real edge in the price, but that's what the kind of race it looks to be and unfold. So, maybe default to Sheriff. Like I mentioned, I was very keen at a nice price last start before he was scratched, but this may still be his race.
Yeah, okay. Your old mate Big Mike, I see, resuming BP. You have a couple of shekels for him, surely.
Look, what I will suggest here with Big Mike, if you go back to his last preparation, he ran at Awapuni, which is on today. He finished into 5th position over 1,500 metres, and then he won the Hawke's Bay Cup second up. This is a very similar plan to the Hawke's Bay Cup coming up in a couple of weeks' time. So just keep a little wary watch on what Big Mike does here on Saturday, and then it's maybe a chance to unload on Big Mike if he's ready to go for the Hawke's Bay Cup. In the end, I went with Red Hussar. I actually think Red Hussar is the one that's at a touch of value, and Sheriff is the other selection I like in the race. So maybe a little split bet on both of those horses. Look, Red Hussar this time last year was in terrific form leading towards the Easter handicap, and that is clearly a goal again for that horse. Was winning around the same time in a 74 over 1,600 metres before running fourth behind Demonetisation in the Easter. So there's just a couple of nice little bit of synergy around this horse with where he sits at the moment. Yes, this is 1,400 metres, but he's got a record at 1,400 metres, so he sits at around $8, and he's going to get a couple of kilos off too with Chelsea Burden aboard, which will all help. So I thought he was the one on the each way, and Sheriff the other pick.
Yeah, okay. $8 Red Hussar. Paul, where did you land in the end?
Well, I'm happy to go with Osaka. I think if they're ready, we've got a race on our
We're going to have to watch that price, aren't we? That's going to be the key.
Well, I hope Steve's right. I hope we get a wee bit of a drift and we can get up around the 450 mark.
Well, we could go SP.
Oh, wow. A new product.
New product. We could probably touch on that a bit later, but that might be one. Osaka for SP.
Osaka and Les Sablier.
You can have a little dabble at that fresh, are you?
Oh, well, yeah, they're both fresh, so yeah.
Yeah, good point. You make it.
You've got 4 horses here that present first start. A lot of horses probably not in their sweet spot in terms of distance. Just quickly on Manrico, last start over 1,400, just crunching some numbers. Went out and led, first 800, 3.1 lengths above par, so he went out fairly quick. So you'd say on that alone that he was a little bit vulnerable in the last 100, 200 metres, but he held on. So I'm just questioning that overall form. He had Summer Passage, who's a few lengths off his best. And I know To Illicit finished third, but she was on a heavy deck carrying 62 kegs. So I'm just not sure about the Manrico form line coming into tomorrow's assignment.
Yeah, okay. Les Sablier first up. Stand Tall. Stand Tall first up as well. What about those runners?
Yeah, Stand Tall trialled up well. Ralph Manning's team always go well at Rotorua, which can be a key asset. Look, it'll put itself in the race. It has tactical speed from barrier 4. I just want to see it go around before it'd get Mike though, but I respect anyone that wants to have a little bit of a turn at it at a nice each way quote, but it's that kind of race, so no knock which way you want to go.
Yeah, okay. Pop's going for Sheriff and Red Hussar, Man Barely Standing, Paul Mawadi, Les Sablier and Sheriff. Yeah, Les Sablier, and Osaka, sorry. And wait for the drift there on Osaka. Not a lot of money at this stage, so do watch that price around Osaka, 3.5 as it currently stands Friday morning. Okay, we're going to head off down south now. Big day down Riccarton Way, and the main race, Steve, is race number 8 on the card. As I go to the Avon City Ford Easter Cup over the mile.
A nice field, headed by Irish Girl, who's so impressive when making her debut down south last start. Opened $5.50, been crunched into $3.80 here, Thad. Conditions of the race, 56 kegs. We got Hussabro, clearly the top-rated galloper, was 61. She looks well placed, and punters have followed in here, $5.50 into $3.80. Hussabro on that second line, $4.50, hasn't budged. Beneficial out of 4.650, now $7.50. Exchange, well played in that fifth line of betting at $8 flat. Feeling the power, $9. Double figures around Seriously, drawn the ace, $8.50 out, double figures to 10. Southern Ocean out a couple of turns, 10 to 12. Harbourside bouncing between 14 and 16. Did peak at 16, back in, firmed late in the last few hours this morning, Friday, back into the original price of 14. Four Queens, 14, out the doors to 16. And Whale Song, best of the rest, 16. Friendless, 21 for Sam Win. Good to see her return during the week. But overall, a clear lead. It sits with number 2, Irish Girl, who was well played last start. Punters reinvesting $5.50, fluctuating to $3.80.
Yeah. Paul, they haven't learned the lesson here, the pricing team, surely, with Irish Girl.
Oh, that's their fault, isn't it?
BP, you would have reminded a bit of $5.50 on Irish Girl here, surely.
Oh, yeah. Missed it. Missed it, unfortunately.
In a flash.
So, yeah, going to have to start fighting for some scraps. Yeah, how about that? I mean, first of all, Irish Girl must say a tip of the hat to Hussabro for turning up into the race. That is a massive help for her, isn't it? I mean, she would have been the highest rated horse, but he's the highest rated horse with 96, and he's got the top weight of 61 kilograms. So, look, she's in a really good space at the moment, Irish Girl, with how she won the Valachi Down South Island Breeders last time to the races. Her North Island form before winning that race was super strong, and when you start lining up the form lines with Predator and those other type of horses, she looks to be in a good vein of form. 1,600 metres again, good barrier draw. All those things are in her favour. Look, Hussabro is a good horse though. I mean, let's not shy away from that fact. I mean, he's a horse who's run 4th in a Group 1, at his last start to the races, in behind Mascarpone, who was too good out in front. Mascarpone over 1,600 metres. He had Brando in the race, Madalena. It was a very good field of Group 1 1,600 metre horses, and he was just in amongst them when beaten, the 5 lengths in the end. So he's deserved of his weight, but he also does bring a very big class factor to this race, doesn't he, with how he won the white robe with 59 kilograms to start to go over the 1,600 metres. So as much as Irish Girl sits in a very good place under the weight scale, 550 was the price, but gee, if you got 550, you'd almost be thinking, okay, maybe I need to start just working these percentages in my favour, because if she keeps getting shorter, things have to start moving out, and maybe that's when you start looking to play a horse like Hasselbro, if that is the case, if he starts working to that $485 mark. Yeah,
100%. Paul, initial thoughts here? What do you got in the cheat sheet here?
I don't mind the look of the Son of O'Reilly seriously with Lisa Allpress on board. Second in the Copeland's Mile, followed by another runner-up the next start. Fourth in the Timaru Stakes was a full of merit, and she should get a much more economical run from the Ace Draw this time. I see she drifted out slightly, 850 to 10s.
Probably on that last start. What do you think they were setting it for this one? Seriously, the fifth last time?
I think so, and I think it's really worth a go at $10. So seriously, I can understand the punters coming for Irish Girl. I don't know, Steve and the boys just waved the $5.50 out the window, and boy did they snap it up. Well done to those who did actually get on at the $5.50 mark. Beneficial. Bounced back to winning form a couple of starts ago. I think you forget the run in the breeders. She sort of found more trouble than Payne Haast downtown Brizzy on a Friday night. So just put a line through that run in the breeders, and I think take a better look at that win.
The start prior. Yeah, okay. Look, is it Steve here, just a little bit of a white robe hangover here around Hasselbro, where we got absolutely towelled up and we sort of kept it safe and we sort of missed Irish Girl here. What are your thoughts around this market move?
Well, I think the key around Hasselbro is that she's well placed at weight for age, and this is handicap obviously with 61 keg. So maybe 2 weeks' time, back at Riccarton, the Easter Gold Cup at weight for age over 2,000 metres might be her green light, Hasselbro. And this is just to keep her up to the mark, because normally she's a well-backed commodity, isn't she, Thaddeus?
Yeah, certainly.
Come Friday morning, staggering that she's a positive result for the traders. So, that price might be a little bit of a shortener in terms of easing throughout race day, purely on the conditions of the race. I think, as I mentioned, is better placed at weight for age, which we saw in the white robe. Irish Girl, she took that mile box. Yes, she had the dream run, and the race suit suited her as well in terms of she was taking that almost trailing position. Irish Girl, the first 1,000 metres, they went 9.5 lengths below par, so it did really suit horses on speed. So I want to give more merit to Feta Khan, who's been a notable drifter, 16 out to 21, but did close the fastest 6.42 splits in behind Irish Girl. And she's drawn a sticky gate, Feta Khan, barrier 9. If she'd drawn a gate, maybe she could have positioned herself somewhere around midfield, but maybe from barrier 9 for Brett Murray it might be a bit tricky, and be in a similar map as to what she found herself last start. So she may have to finish over the top of them and rely on solid tempo, which she didn't get last start. But her run was extremely well considering the race shape. But yeah, tricky race. But punters believe Irish Girl's clearly the one to beat.
Well, if Irish Girl's 3.8 and Feta Khan's 21 and Four Queens is 16, almost tempting you to have a little bet on those two, surely. The third and fourth in the breeders, both good runs.
Yeah, it just depends on the race shape. I don't see a huge amount of speed in this race, so if they go well below par for the first 1,000 metres like they did 2 weeks ago, then Irish Girl from barrier 6, she's going to be in that sweet spot just off tempo and be hard to run down, because her closing splits was the second best when winning last start and behind Feta Khan. So yeah, on the map, she may be very hard to beat, a similar profile to what we saw 2 weeks ago, Irish Girl. But look, Feta Khan, she was around about a 40-1 shot, so she had a high SP, which is resulting in a nice price on Saturday at around about 20-1.
Yeah, okay. Well, tick that mile box, Irish Girl. That was probably the only query last start. BP wanted around Irish Girl, but there were some good runs. Pull your socks up, Feta Khan, Four Queens in behind her, so you wouldn't blame people if they wanted to have a bit of a spec at the longer odds here.
No, you're right. You're right. And with that price of 5.5 that was posted, I mean, it was a bit of a treat for those that were on last time to the races. There's one horse here that I would like to mention and possibly have something on in the race, and it is Exchange. Now, it's runner number 5. Now, this is a horse, if you go back 2 starts ago in the weight for age scale, was beaten by Hassabro and was beaten into 3rd position of 2 lengths. Now, it comes back to a handicap race. So, look, he sits in a far better place. He's 7 kilos off Hassabro. So, a big swing in that horse's favour. 1,600 metres is no issue for him. He's just a runner that's in very good form at the moment, is Exchange. So, he sits that $8 quote, and he could sit in a position where if things keep developing at the top of the market, he could get to a really interesting price, Exchange. I feel as though he is the one I want to keep watching in this marketplace. Do I back $8 now, or do I wait and hope that the horse starts to keep moving outwards? Again, a little chance of maybe playing our SP product on a horse like Exchange, if that is to happen, if things keep moving around Irish Girl. I don't know. What are we thinking around Irish Girl's price? Is this a price that's going to keep moving, or are we going to start seeing some movement for other runners with maybe punters have missed the 550, so they start exploring a couple of other different options?
Steve, what are your thoughts there? I mean, I would have thought that's nearly short enough on this field, but...
I think she starts closer to $3.04, so there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So they're going to keep coming?
Yeah.
The
Just
way
on the
they were-
Exchange form line,
Yes.
got beaten by Henley last start. Henley came out and franked the form again, going back-to-back, winning on Sunday, so it's a nice little form reference.
Yeah, okay.
She won on Sunday in a rating 74.
You in that white robe run for 3rd, must meet Hassabro 7 kgs better off BP or something like that. Is that, am I right? Or?
You got it. Yep, 7 kilos. Yep.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, that makes a bit of sense. That does make a bit of sense. Okay, Pop. So what would you do here? Go Exchange if you're having a bet, or each way, or?
Yeah, look, I think Exchange is a bet on the each way. If you're looking at the 8s and sort of $2.80, $3, that would be the bet. I think Irish Girl is the horse to beat because of what we saw last time to the races. Everything seems to be fitting perfectly into her preparation at the moment. So it might be a chance of having a little split bet between those horses of Irish Girl and Exchange.
Yeah, okay. Paul, final thoughts here. How would you attack the race? You don't mind the look of seriously?
No, I definitely have a little each way going seriously, but as BP says, I think Irish Girl is the one to beat here, and I'll take the 380 as it stands.
You're going to take, well, if Steve's saying it's going to start at $3, we'll be happy to take 380, surely.
I'd be a lot happier taking the 550, but I don't think, no, he's not going to push it out for us.
No, not again. You've had your fun there. Righto, team. We want to go to a race at Manawatu today, Awapuni. The JPAC Homes Manawatu Breeders' Stakes Group 3 over the 2000. Now, this is going to be interesting, boys, because if you're watching this on Friday morning, obviously this race is yet to be run, but if you catch it any other time after 3:54 this afternoon, you're going to be able to get a quick critique on how you boys have done. So it's going to be interesting in itself. Steve, run us through this market.
Yes, there's a bit of movement here, Thaddeus. On race day, we've seen plenty of action around number 2. So originally, Cinerama, Sam I Am Susie, $2.80 each of 2 on Wednesday. Well, there's genuine separation now. Cinerama now backed into $2.40. Will start a predominant favourite, Cinerama. In front of Sam I Am Susie's, it's gone out a couple of clicks to $3. Le Crier, $4.50, hasn't budged since the opening call. A House of Cartier. Jonathan Parks does the riding here for Peter Dinnermute. A fantastic day out at Whanganui yesterday. 8 in a turn fractionally to $7.50. Alana Cord 16 out a couple turns to 18. And Charm Star under the care of Lisa Ladder, back from Australia. Has had the one run thus far, but maybe an improver still to come. 18 out to 21. But Cinerama, clearly Thaddeus is your best lead. One of the definitely the best bet runner in this race. Probably the best bet runner, not just overall on the meeting today at Awapuni, but including our 2 Saturday races or meetings.
Yeah, okay, BP, we're going to know our fate at 4 o'clock Friday afternoon here, so if you're watching after that time, you're going to get a quick critique on what you say next, so please be accurate.
Dear, oh dear. Look, as Cinerama, I mean, when you start seeing money for an elegant Sharrock horse, the ears definitely prick up. And look, this is a horse who's in form. I mean, she's in a great space at the moment. She's won, 2 stakes races out of her last 3 starts. She showed that with her win in the Wide Upper Breeders, and then with how she won the Cuddle Stakes. So now she gets up to distance of 2,000 metres in a small field. So this race could be very tactical over a distance of 2,000 metres of how this might pan out. So that is probably a key pointer around the race. And then you start lining up those horses that were in the Cuttle Stakes, don't you? The horses like Sam I Am Susie, who finished into third position. Look, that was a big run from her. That was a real test for that runner, but with where she was and what she'd done in sort of 65 and 74 races. And then she's come out and finished third, and she was really strong to the line. I thought Le Crayere was actually one of the horses out of that race too that caught the eye, got within a length, ran the best figures in behind. And now we get to see Le Crayere going to 2,000 metres for the very first time. Again, there has to be a question mark on that. Yeah. House of Cartier, run at number 1. You spoke about Peter Didham's great day yesterday. Look, don't be completely put off by this horse's chances at $7.50. We know she operates well here. I mean, she's won a 1,600 metre feature race. The way that she finished off in the Auckland Cup, it almost looked like she needed further than the 2 miles with where she was, and she was still surging through the line. She went charging up the hill, didn't she, when going past the post after the race had all finished, and she was almost one of the last horses to pull up, and she's done that a number of times, House of Cartier. Look, is she a bit of a smoky at $7.50? I almost keep looking at her thinking, well, in a 6-horse race, she's not going to be that far off them. I'm almost very tempted to have something on her.
Yeah, and there are a few having a bit on her, Steve, because on the eye it's a nice price for a horse. I suppose the drop back the concern here.
Yeah, touch of a concern, but I think the small field will suit. She may need even tempo, and it's not sure she's going to get that. There's just no speed in this race, Thaddeus. Sam I Am Susie looks as default leader. If Michael McNabb wants to take up that position, I think it'd be silly not to. Yeah, I mean, the small field does suit Cinerama as well. Look, she's been a lot better in recent times coming out of the machine. She's positioned herself just front of midfield in the Cuttle at Trentham. Look, in the Cuttle, just breaking down the numbers, to the 600, 7.4 lengths below par. So again, did favour horses that were in and around the speed. Dashing home the last 633 and change, which was 4.2 lengths above par. So the race shape, as I mentioned, did favour on-speed runners. Cinerama positioned midfield, but gradually got close to the leaders at around about the top of the straight. I think it was probably 1.5, 2 lengths off the leaders coming around the turn at Trentham. I think it was a vital part in that race in the Cuttle Stakes, probably after 200 metres a furlong from the starting position, when Lisa Allpress held her position midfield and kept Kate Hurcock, who was aboard Le Crayere, 3 wide facing the breeze. And I'm sure Lisa knew that Le Crayere was one of the ones to beat. She was in the marketplace. So Kate Hurcock had to come back off heels and place herself behind Cinerama, which was round about 1.5, 2 lengths off Cinerama. So as BP alluded, Le Crayere did close home the best 6.42 in the race. So if Le Crayere can, I don't know, sit round about par in terms of the map v Cinerama, she does have the closing splits to be competitive and finish in front of Cinerama. It's just whether she can position herself, if not in front, but at least maybe on par with Cinerama. But yeah, it is definitely a tactical affair. I'm not sure around Sam I Am Susie, BP. If you're Michael McNabb, would you be looking to make it a sit and sprint, or just run your own race, even tempos up front, and go home from the top of the straight? How would you play? Is your best chance just trying to put the brakes on and make it a sprint home?
Yeah, it sort of screams that, doesn't it? And especially for some of these horses like her as well, you know, finding that position of in front with 2,000 metres for the very first time and trying to get it comfortable is the best way to try and guide you home. So if it's not her, is it a Charm Star second up that might be a little bit more positive from barrier number 6, the 6 of 6 over the 2,000 metres to roll forward with her and put her into a position. So there's a chance for one of those couple of horses to do exactly that and try and dominate this race. Look, I'm not that keen to have a bet in this race, to be completely honest with you. I think Cinerama is the one to beat with what we've seen, but I don't know. I just find this race very curly. So if it would nail me down to have a bet, I'd actually just have something on House of Cartier at the price. I mean, if she can get into a spot where I know what Steve's saying, that the race tempo is not going to be there for her, but as opposed to being 16 lengths off them, she's going to be, you know, back on the fence, potentially 3 or 4 off what's in front of her. So the tempo of the race is the big issue, but she's just going to be closer. And at an $8 quote, I'm happy to find out if she can still finish over the top of them. So that would be where I am, but overall I'm not too keen. I'm just keen to watch the race.
Yeah, Curly's your middle name, Paul.
I think Beppe said it when the first time he talked about the race. Alan Sharrock runner, money on. That's good enough for me.
You're a big Alan Sharrock man, aren't you?
Very, very.
Why wouldn't you be?
I really do like the look of Cinerama here. I think that was a masterclass from Lisa Allpress. Was it in the Cuddle? Yeah, lovely, lovely ride. And as you say, the small field will suit Cinerama. She won't be too far off them. This is, I guess, a chance for her to add another stakes race to her resume before heading off to stud, which may not be too far in the distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like the way. The money on Alan Sharrock.
It's a good formula, isn't it?
There are some very simple, there's certainties in life. Money on Alan Sharrock runner is one of them.
Yeah, okay. So you're keen. Anything down? Lana Cord, Charm Star. Charm money for Charm Star last time.
Yeah, it wasn't the worst run, fresh up last time out.
Okay.
With Billy Pin on, who I think has really matured as a jockey over the last month or so.
Been going well.
Once again, in a small field, $21. You always say take the outsider in a small field.
We know that stat's not true though, unfortunately. we like saying it though. That's the key. Yeah, okay.
Not sure what to do with Lana Cord.
Yeah.
I mean, the majority of these horses are going to naturally progress towards the Travis at Te Rapa in a few weeks' time. Wait for Age, Fillies and Mares, 2,000 metres, and I'm sure Lana Cord will go in that direction. Look, she ran the 6 fastest closing splits in the Cuddle, including a sub-12 for the last 200. I don't have her in the mix in this race. Look, I understand why they might push on towards a Travis, but even then I've got a question mark against her. Again, I've said it previously on this podcast, I want to see this horse target 2,000 plus staying races on the minimum or close to the minimum in handicap races because she's still well placed with her.
So New Zealand Cups and the like, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. There might not be too much for her going forward with the deterioration of track conditions and winter, etc. But look, I think she's a nice little stayer, and with her low rating currently, she's low 80s, I believe. She's a decent candidate to tick off maybe a New Zealand Cup or even a Wellington Cup next season. Yeah,
okay. So you're all in Cinerama here then?
Big time.
Basically.
Yes, please.
Okay. And
Breeding Buffs, quick shout out. She's sensational.
I was going to mention
your
it.
thunder, sorry.
No, I'd forgotten to. So please, yes. Half sisters.
Yeah, half sisters. House of Cardia and Cinerama, doing a grand job and.
Out of the Auckland Cup winner, wasn't she? Auckland Cup winner?
The Auckland Cup winner, yep. She won a Wait for Age 2,000 metre race too. I think she was, at least 2 Group 1s, potentially 3 from memory.
Yeah, okay. Righto, boys, we better push on. We're starting to run out of time. It's getting to that time of the hour. We want to go to the viewer listener question. Look, please get your viewer questions in to tlufeedback@gmail.com. And if we do select your name out of the hat, you'll get a $100 bonus bet on one of our selectors' best bets of the weekend. So tlufeedback@gmail.com for that. You'll see that on your screen shortly. We've got the viewer question this week from Warren Olsen. Obviously to all you boys. Is there a more horses for courses track in the country than Rotorua? Obviously that's well-known fact or generally well-spruiked fact. Do you have any stats around this, Steve? Or
I don't.
No.
What I will say, he's probably right. What you can get a little bit confused is tracks like Ruakaka and New Plymouth where locals dominate.
Yeah.
But the difference here is you've got horses trained externally away from Rotorua that come to Rotorua and have an impeccable record.
And go Paul.
So it's not really a track that's dominated by locals. It's just horses that come to Rotorua and dominate purely on the track circumference.
Stay with us.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, Paul, do you look at those track stats at Rotorua when you have a look, or any other tracks that you like?
Definitely Rotorua. I'm just trying to put together a little, spreadsheet for the synthetic track, tracks when they're all up and operating. Because I do think that we may be able to find something there.
You see that in Australia, don't you, as well? The synthetic tracks that are dominated by certain horses. BP, thoughts on that question, Rotorua? I always sort of think Wanganui's one that I don't mind, sort of a bit of a horses for courses track, but what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. That was the other track I had in mind,
sorry,
actually.
Mate.
That's all right. Yeah, it's a funny track though. I mean, there's a couple of horses that continue used to follow. There was a runner trained by Nigel Mortimer who always used to go to the front at Rotorua and would be just so hard to beat. And the horse's name escapes me, but it just used to go to the front. And look, I think he won 4 or 5 races and maybe he'd won all of them there at that venue. And of course, when the Felins used to train there, and as Stephen said, of course, externally away from the racetrack, those local trainers, but they always used to have a good record on their home track. So yeah, I'd say the River City, and then you have to look at a racetrack like Ruakaka because you look at the domination of sort of the Logan and the Gibbs horses who operate so well on their home track because they have the advantage of horses that haven't had to travel so far to get there, and also they train on that sandy based surface. So the reason why Ruakaka becomes a horses for courses track is because horses can go there and appreciate the surface that's underfoot as opposed to different tracks. And then you apply what Paul's just said, the synthetic surfaces, because we have seen some horses that just have synthetic form already. I think we can identify a few horses that go back to the grass that maybe don't perform as well as they have through the winter period on the synthetic. And I think we'll see more of that starting to line up once we start getting into our May, June, July, August racing on the synthetic, especially at Cambridge, but even when Riccarton Park comes on board as well. So that's a good shout as well, Moati, like that.
Yeah. Champagne Princess, is that the Horton runner? It's won a couple on the synthetic already.
Weatherly.
Weatherly runner, quite right. Yeah, there's one.
Yep. Pablo Casals is another horse that comes to mind. Mark Brosnan horse won through the winter period and looked good on the synthetic, but has come back to the turf and hasn't been able to find a win. So yeah, you'll be looking to all those horses when that racing starts firing up again. No,
it's a good one, the Rotorua one. I always check the Rotorua stats, and thanks, Warren. Also sending that question in, we're giving you Paul best bet for this week, so God bless you.
Dear.
Well, Toby Licious, you'll go back to back. Toby Licious was your last one.
Yeah.
Well, so you're thinking no back? We'll see what your best bet is.
It's really hard to go back to back, isn't it?
No, it's a piece of cake. Anyone can do it. And look, Liam O'Reilly last week got Tavatak, so he's a winner. That was not bad. So there's bonus bets in his account around Tavatak. Steve's selection last week. tlu@gmail.com. Let's get to the best bets, guys, because we're inside the last 5 minutes. BP, where did you land for your bet of the week?
Look, I just went pretty short actually. I went race 1, number 1 at Rotorua with La Bella BEALS, drawn up against the rail. Was very good last time out, over 1,200 metres. Goes to 1,400 metres. She looks to be a filly that could have a nice little autumn in front of her. So she's short enough for sure, but was happy just to mark her down as hopefully a winner in the first race.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, she was super impressive there at Tauranga last time. Paul, this is for Warren. This is for all the apples. Where are we going? The bet of the week.
Well, not going to have to wait too long because I'm looking towards Awapuni today, Friday,
Yes.
and the JPAC Homes 102 Breeders' Stakes, number 2, Cinerama, Alan Sherrick, money on, coming off that Cattle Stakes victory.
She was good. She's in form, isn't she? She's getting out of the barrier.
She is, yeah.
Does he get top flight?
What was top flight?
Original opening quote, 280.
Oh, I think that's fair, isn't it, Paul?
Should do, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, it was a great question.
Yeah, a good question. We can let's make sure that he does. Stephen, we'll come to you. Best bet. You're coming hot off the back of Tavatak, so we need another one.
Yeah, I'm very keen on this individual. I think he's very progressive. Heading to Counties on Sunday, Thaddeus, a 3-year-old maiden mile. Rainberg on debut, held up at a vital stage at Hastings over 7 furlongs. You're looking at its most recent run, slow away before running home the fastest last 800, but more importantly the last 200 as he steps up to the mile. Overall form in this race, rock solid. You got Horde the Bourbon, the winner. Overall race rated 2.7 lengths above par, which is also a positive. Couple useful sorts in the race on Sunday, Rock Up and Urban Myth, but they've both drawn wide gates where Rainberg has drawn a decent alley. I think he's a very progressive horse and he'll be hard to beat come Sunday.
Yeah, okay, Rainberg. Put that in the hat for Sunday and keep us going right through to Sunday. Righto, Paul, what's happening on the promotion side of things this weekend? Bonus Black Blitz over? Or
We're still going, and if you're watching this live on Friday morning, we've got a mini bonus back blitz today. The first 2 races at Awapuni, the Palmy North Dogs, Addington and Alex Park Harness. So first 2 races from those meetings today on Friday.
Yep.
And then we've got the big bonus back blitz tomorrow. The first 4 races from Riccarton Park Rotorua, Caulfield and Randwick.
Okay, so 16 races here to sink your teeth into. Saturday, 2nd, 3rd or 4th, you get your bet back as a bonus bet up to $50. And we were talking about SP, Paul, so you can take SP in fixed odds now as well. This is a new product that can toggle to starting price. So if you do find a drifter, the Osakas of the world, there are a couple of others that potentially may drift.
If you want to know how to actually get an SP,
Yep.
head to the Punters Lounge on the TAB app or the website, and you'll find a little article there on starting price and how you can actually toggle, use your mouse to actually find it on the website.
Okay, so we get the closing fixed odds price. That's what we need to know.
That's right.
Okay, so when you get on, there's nothing worse than when you take something at $5, you set
drifts.
drift to 6 or 7, and you've got to get on again.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Right, who wins the Queen Elizabeth, boys? We'll go around the grounds. Paul, who's going to win the Queen Elizabeth?
Oh,
Very Elegant, Montefilia, or
I do. I relate Very Elegant to Brooks Koepka.
Here we go.
You know, if Very Elegant's going around in like the Valspar or the RSM Classic,
Yeah.
But if she's going around in the Masters or the US Open, she puts her hand up, she says, this is mine. So, yeah, she's very much a Brooks Koepka type runner for mine. I really do like the look of her.
So it's Brooks going to win the golf.
Look, he's going to be there or thereabouts.
BP, you better weigh in here.
Yeah, gee, I hope Brooks Koepka's getting close. I've actually got him for first round leader. Do we actually know where he is at the moment? But anyway, gee, that's a great reference. I love it. Very elegant. Look, I mean, I've been with her since she won at Ruakaku, the very second start of the races, so I'm not going to get off now, am I? So there's been some good times in between that, and including, and that was a Melbourne Cup, of course, most recently. So look, when it's at its toughest, I mean, her 2,000 metre form, I guess this, her most recent run is a question mark. The track condition is going to be at its absolute worst, though, and she continues to thrive off that. So she sits at $3. How could you not want to be with Very Elegant?
Okay, Steve, we've got a minute. Who wins the Queen Elizabeth?
Tough race. I'll go with the 7, Duais.
Yeah, flying. Isn't it?
Yeah, just back and trip, I think, suits on a heavy testing condition.
Yep. Yeah, okay. Going to be one hell of a race come Saturday afternoon.
You got long COVID. Rocky.
He's coming, still coming, right?
He's got
still
the
coming,
Rona.
right. Okay, we better wrap it up, team. Thanks, BP, for your efforts. And go the Warriors. Who have we got this weekend?
Cowboys.
Yeah, we've got the Cowboys, 13 and overs paying $4, and of course you could put your 50 on that, and if they win, which is hopefully likely, but they win 1 to 12, of course you'll get a bonus bet back, so maybe that might be a little play for the Warriors match tonight.
Always finger on the promotions.
He doesn't miss these promotions, does he, BP? No, thank you to him. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for spending some of your time with us.
Cheers. Yeah, no worries.
Good luck for the weekend. Good luck for your golf. Who's leading the golf? Do you know?
Yep. Sanjay M, I think, is the clubhouse leader at 5 under, with Cam Smith, Dustin Johnson at 4 under.
No Tiger Woods. That's all. We'll be in trouble if Tiger Woods wins it, won't we?
Like I say, we'll be going to the bank manager on Monday if Tiger Woods gets up and wins. I think he's currently $31 with us to win.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Thanks for your efforts and good to see you back.
Yep.
We'll see you next week. Okay.
Sounds good.
And thank you to you at home as well. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again in 7 days' time on The Leg Up.